In the heart of a noisy, crowded city lived a man named Kabir. He was known for his charm, his humor, his loud laugh that echoed through every gathering. He was the kind of person people remembered not for what he said, but how confidently he said it. But no one really knew Kabir. He worked in a corporate office, led meetings, inspired others, and was always surrounded by people. He was the glue in his friend circle, the life of the party, the one who always had something to say. Yet every night after the noise died down and the lights went out, Kabir would sit alone in his apartment. Silent, not peaceful silence, empty silence, the kind that echoes, the kind that exposes what you've buried. He would stare at the ceiling, the walls, his own reflection in the dark window, and feel like a stranger to himself. One day, his company sent him to a rural village for a 2-week leadership retreat. "You'll come back with clarity," they promised. What they didn't say was that the retreat center had a strict rule: no phones, no talking, no contact, complete silence. The first day was unbearable. Kabir kept reaching for his phone that wasn't there, his mind racing with conversations he couldn't have. By evening, he was ready to leave. But something, maybe ego, maybe curiosity, made him stay one more day. By day 3, something strange happened. The silence stopped being loud. His thoughts began to settle like dust in sunlight. He started to hear the birds, the wind, the way trees whispered when no one interrupted. And for the first time in years, he began to hear himself. He noticed how many thoughts weren't his, they were things others had said about him. "You're so confident. You're always in control. You're the strong one." He had worn those comments like a costume, and now, in the quiet, the costume was falling off. He remembered his father's silence whenever they argued, not coldness, but restraint. He remembered his mother praying in silence every morning, not asking, just being. He remembered the day his best friend moved away and said nothing, just hugged him and left. And somehow, all of those silent moments now spoke louder than any word ever had. On the 5th day, Kabir met someone not through words, but through presence. An old man, the caretaker of the retreat space, would quietly bring food, sweep the floor, and water the plants. They never exchanged a single word, but the man's eyes had peace. His movements had purpose. His silence wasn't awkward, it was full. Kabir began watching him, how he smiled with his eyes, how he noticed when someone needed help without being asked, how he sat under the tree in the evening, doing nothing, yet looked more alive than any CEO Kabir had ever met. And Kabir realized something. He had spent his life talking to be heard, but never listening to understand. He spoke to fill space, not to connect. He performed not out of confidence, but fear. Fear that silence would reveal the truth, that he didn't really know who he was. But now, in this quiet village, with no audience to impress and no noise to hide behind, Kabir met someone he hadn't in years, himself. He began writing each morning, not posts, not reports, just thoughts. Some were ugly, some were kind, but all were his. He walked for hours without music in his ears, just the rhythm of his breath and the crunch of dry leaves underfoot. And for the first time, silence wasn't empty. It was honest. When the 2 weeks ended, the group gathered to share what they'd learned. Kabir said just one sentence: "Silence doesn't take away your voice, it introduces you to it." When he returned to the city, things hadn't changed. The traffic still roared. The meetings still piled up, and people still expected him to be Kabir, the talker. But Kabir had changed. Now he paused before speaking. He looked people in the eye instead of through them. He said less and meant more. He spent his evenings in silence, not scrolling, not watching, just being. And when people asked, "Are you okay? You've become so quiet lately," he'd smile and reply for the first time, "I can hear myself clearly." Years later, he returned to the village. The old caretaker was still there, older now, slower. They sat under the same tree again, still without words. And in that silence, Kabir said everything he needed to say. Moral of the story is silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of truth. When you stop trying to be seen, you begin to see yourself. And sometimes the loudest transformation happens in the quietest moments.
If this story touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Maybe it'll help them. And if you believe stories like these deserve to be heard, please like, comment, and subscribe to Life Lessons Library. Your one click keeps these stories alive.